spacing from the fence to the blade is 1/4 of an inch. My piece is going to be going here, up against the fence. So the end result is going to be, this is going to end up 30 degrees. So when I put it on its side, this is 30 degrees. So here I'm going to be left with ¼ degree. Now, when I'm doing this is the seat frame, right? So when I put up my sides, I lay them down at 90 degrees. And this is cut to 30 degrees here. And that's how the finish work is done on the seat, right? But if I run my piece in a vertical position, it's only 3/4 of an inch wide. And that's going to be 31 inches off the table. So that's going to be hard keeping it 90 degrees to the table. So I'm going to clamp a piece of lumber on its side to give it a wider stance here. And hopefully that piece of lumber won't get sucked into the saw. Put it in the situation. On pretty tight. Just flip this around. Let's try that out. Check my that's pretty close. Sort of happy. Well, I'm not just happy, I am happy that it's working out. edges since everything is glued. Number one. Number 1, 3/4 of an inch. Number 1 Robertson. Yeah, it's a Canadian thing. Actually, I do believe Robertson is better than Phillips, but they were both good inventions as far as screwdrivers and fasteners go. They were really both good inventions. On that side, okay. Tap it on that side, and it is not like that, but like that. So. Since I'm coming out here at a this is 30 degrees, this is 60, so I cut myself a piece of board 60 on either end, which has the exact dimensions from end to end, and as you can tell, this is flat. but both ends here, this is 30 degrees on here, so I come back to my flat, because I'm coming off of a 30, right? And I cut another piece to fit like this. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to be gluing that together and putting that together today. Okay, this is the cutter sled, but it's upside down. I made two little stands that actually just, I set the floor onto them, right? I removed the trunk to give it, in case I was going to break it. And these were the pieces that I had bent in one of my first videos about the cutter sled, right? And to build something square and make sure the dimensions fit, you got to have a flat surface. So I'm using the 2x6 on the outside of that board, that table. The optimal jig would be on a concrete floor, which is not necessarily level but flat. Okay, and from the front, the hardest part is actually making those little wooden legs so that they're all on the same plane. If you look at it from one side, you should only see one line, right? And if you look on that side, you should only see one leg, but there's really three when you look at it from the side, right? And they're not all the same length because they're tilted, right? Since they're tilted, the legs in the front are longer than the ones in the middle. And that piece there, where the floor rests on, is actually not flat with the table like the middle one. It's at an angle. And to actually start cutting into that piece of wood to make it look like all the tips of them have to be all on the same plane so I can put my my running board, right? It's not an easy task. It's easy if you have a jig. Like in my first videos, what I did was actually work from it upside down. Like I made a jig and supported the whole sled from that jig. That's the only way I could actually get a smooth surface, so that the runners actually line up with each other, right? And I used the table saw as a flat surface to do that from. Those runners are supposed to line up with those, with that pole there, but they're not. They're on the inside. So I'm probably going to have to put a brace in between there so I can actually fixate the steel, the bent steel runner that's actually affixed to the wall of the splash guard, right? So it's going to look like this. You're going to have a board going across, a support member in the back, and on this side of the board you're going to have that runner butting up against the board, and that runner's going to come up against it and bolt through the board and the bracing I put in the back. That's how I'm going to get that to be on the same thing, to give some more strength. And one thing that's important about this, for that sled to steer correctly, those runners have to be the same distance. What I mean by that is from that little pole going in where you meet the rudder, that distance has to be the same on both sides. Because if one was more tilted than the other, you would be steering to one side. I finished the seat, but not the upholstery. Okay. And what I really need now is a bender to bend the steel that goes on that subframe. And it also has to be heated up so I can smash it into a flat, make it malleable so I can, and flatten it out so I can put a hole in it and fix it to the wood. I just don't know. Like I have I have some steel here for it. Somewhere in this pile. Oh, right there. There, that packet there has all the steel required for that sled. But now it's just to work it in. I have a little thinking to do. And I gotta seek some funds to do it. Well, I took out the old steamer. It's just a pipe and a tea kettle. And I put in some laminates, spruce. Same stuff as I have here. I made the laminates. They are 1/8 thick. And I have enough for 4 layers. I want 1/2 inch end product. And that's my jig for the bending. And it's to, if you see the curvature over there, it's to make a bend. I didn't know how to, there's no way you can bend board to fit that. So I'm attempting to actually make a plywood with the curve already in it, right? Hence this stuff. And I added sheet metal or aluminium, and that's to provide a uniform curvature, right? And when it comes to actually butting these together and making sure they're tight, this might be a project for a lot of putty fill, I'm not sure, but if this I just took 2 pieces, steamed them up, glued them, and put them in there. I want to see how the wood reacts to drying up with a glued surface. If it cracks, well then that's gonna be no use doing it, right? As far as there is bend in it, if I push down with my thumb, right, there is bend in this, but that tighter radius, I'm guessing it's gonna fail on me, right? It's gonna crack. So I tried steaming it first, and I'll see tomorrow how that works out. Hope it works out.